Hello, this is Dev Persaud. Today, I introduce you to one of the most emotional, heroic, intellectual, and moral book I have ever read. Once in a while you come across a book that brings you to tears, that astonishes you with its profound perspective on life and the times that you live in. While Time Remains, a North Korean defector's search for freedom in America by Yeonmi Park is such a book. I ask that you give it a fair hearing or reading with an open mind. The first sentence in the book is, on October 4th, 1993, I was born in darkness. And one page later, she explains, darkness in her village is total. It is not just the absence of light, power, and food. It is the absence of dignity, sanctuary, and hope. It is the hunting for cockroaches, insects, and plants on her way to school to satisfy that ever-present burning hunger. It is wishing you were anything but a human, wishing to be a bird, even a mice, for they were free to move and to search for food. The darkness she speaks of includes complete brainwashing, where their leader was God. The only news and information is from one source, from rigid approval from one and the only party line. She never saw a map of the world, brainwashed into believing they lived in socialist paradise, when danger lurks hidden, unseen, in every corner in the form of American devils, akin to the hidden structures of leftism. I say, this is how you unswervingly toe the party line, brainwashed into fearing the American devil, who is your ever-present oppressor, the sole cause of your hunger and pain. The American devil lurks unseen in every corner and crevices of the land. There was only one truth. Any hint of a question or questioning, and you are summarily executed. Some words were banned or simply did not exist in North Korea, she says. There are no words for tyranny, trauma, for depression, or love. Without words to describe an emotion or phenomenon, it is easy enough to live your life not even knowing that these things exist. When she was just 13 years old, at the risk of execution, she and her young mother walked over a frozen river to China. Her simple aim? To search for a bowl of rice, which was heaven on earth for this starving child. Mother and child were both promptly sold into sex slavery in China. A couple of years of this unimaginable brutality as sex slaves, they escaped by walking, yes, walking over the immense Gobi Desert to safety, to the safety of Mongolia, and then later flying to South Korea with the help of Christian missionaries. Just to explain this map a little bit, the Gobi Desert is that whitish immense mass of land depicted here. After a few years in South Korea, she made it to the United States with the help of Christian missionaries. I quote her, "The United States remained the only country that for me was even more magnificent in person than its reputation. It wasn't just the friendliness of the people who exude the confidence and openness of men and women living, worshiping, and loving as they please. It was a sense of excitement, of dynamism, of a certain electricity in the air, and in personal interactions. These were clearly the descendants, I thought, of those who overturned imperialism and slavery, defeated fascism and communism, invented motion pictures and jazz, eliminated diseases, created the internet, and landed on the moon. I knew then that I wanted to live with them, to call them my friends and family, and even if I could, to be one of them. So, long story short, she ended up at one of the United States' premier educational institutions, at Ivy League, Columbia University, which, by the way, was found to be the worst college for free speech in a recent survey by the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression. FIRE is the acronym. This North Korean defector, human rights advocate, and best-selling author of In Order to Live sounds the alarm on the culture wars, identity politics, and authoritarian tendencies are tearing America apart currently. And I will give you another quote from her. I have come to appreciate just how much ordinary Americans love and revere the First Amendment of the US Constitution. But perhaps it is difficult for people born here to understand just how radical an idea it really is. And it goes like this. Congress shall make no laws respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and petition the government for a redress of grievances. For a refugee from a country like North Korea, she says that First Amendment is the very heart of freedom, a prism of cultural and political achievement, the likes of which I never thought possible for human beings not only to write on paper, but to make that the very law under which hundreds of millions of individuals would live. It is a law, unfortunately, that Columbia University teaches its students to hate, sometimes subconsciously, sometimes overtly. She was there. She can only speak the truth. The conflation of leftism with liberalism is what allows many American leftists to advocate for the superiority of authoritarian social and political systems without ever having to actually live under or suffer the consequences of it. They therefore continue to enjoy the fruits of democratic capitalism, the wealth, the social mobility, freedom of speech and association, property ownership, but all the while advocating for its demise and destruction. The fact that leftists tend to benefit so greatly from American democratic capitalism, while rhetorically advocating for its destruction, also helps explain why they are so much less focused on the future, but rather on the past, stuck in their own self-made contradictions about current American life, for which they profit so handsomely. The leftists tend to focus on the unalterable past as a way of perpetuating their own perceived victimhood and punishing their ideological opponents. And I would add that they do this with childish virtue signaling. There is much one can say about the shortcomings of American education, healthcare, housing, and food security in America, and about the dire need to reform and improve them. But the leftist insistence on nationalizing these services and resources in order to make them free, as if the various failings in these sectors can be attributed to the mere existence and legality of private ownership, contains dangerous echoes of North Korean model. Be warned. Again, to believe that the answers to social problems lie not in innovation, creativity, and certain measure of personal communal responsibility, but rather in the centralization of state power and the eradication of private ownership. It is just a variation of the leftist theme of victimhood and oppression, which really only serves to mask the emergence and power of an oligarchy of elites. She gave a masterful explanation of capitalism for someone coming from a communist socialist state. Once you start trading for yourself or engaging in capitalistic social proprietorship, you start to think for yourself. I found this very insightful, for in authoritarian systems, you are a helpless child. The state thinks and takes care of your needs, of all of your needs, with nothing, so to speak, as you starve. That is why capitalism is so inimical to authoritarianism. The self-professed enemies of capitalism claim that their opposition is to inequality or to injustice or to exploitation, all of which are, of course, millions of times worse in socialist systems than in capitalist ones. But the true aim of the anti-capitalist is not justice or social betterment. It is to narrow the boundaries within which people are capable of thinking for themselves. Think of the cancel culture. The freedom that capitalism grants the individual human being to think and act for themselves, thereby accumulating wealth, is the reason it is under increasing suspicion in America today. Freedom is fragile and must be fought for, never more than a generation away from dying. People want to feel safe, and freedom is unsafe. Freedom is unsafe. For if you are free to succeed, you are also free to fail. It is all too tempting to believe that in the face of so much volatility and uncertainty, we should put our trust in big daddy government because you feel that capitalism is evil and socialism is good. Though Yeonmi has every right to compare some aspects of her new beloved homeland, America that is, with that of her old North Korea, some will doubtless remain unconvinced by her warnings that America is inching towards the hell she fled. Our ruling class of two-faced bureaucrats and elites, supported by brainwashed ordinary citizens, are inching us self-destructively closer to a new order where everyone is equal in miseries. This book is an eye-opener. I highly recommend it to you and to your kids. Even if you disagree with her, she deserves a hearing. Thank you.